Good morning, First Universalist. Please rise, embody your spirit. Join me in singing our opening hymn, which is escaping me at the moment. Do you remember? There's more love, someone. Thank you, slides. Here we go. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more hope. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. For this last time through, can we say there is more love in here? And feel it in your body, feel your voice moving throughout your skeletal system. Because really, that's where the only place we have the power to change. And if we can generate more love inside of ourselves, maybe we can start to send those vibrations out and all the way to Washington, D.C. and save ourselves. There is more love in here, in this room too. There is more love in here. Even when I want people to die, I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love in here. One last time, there's more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. And I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. Good morning.
In a class last week, I was asked the following: how many of you have experience with burnout? Even in the little two-dimensional boxes of a Zoom screen, it was clear that this question hit a pretty live nerve. Our smiles fell into tired and disappointed expressions. We all sheepishly raised our hands. I say sheepishly because we knew that the very question caught us in a bit of a trap. In this society, burnout can be a badge of honor, proof that we are important and competent and wanted and needed. But as a dozen students completing a final requirement and our training to become spiritual leaders and healers, it seemed we were supposed to know better. As it turns out, knowing something is inconsistent with the way we say we want the world to be doesn't automatically stop us from behaving in ways that we are deeply conditioned to behave. What does burnout feel like? And how do you know it's coming? Everyone had a story of how exhaustion led to breakdown. The things we thought we had to do right now ground to a halt. One person ended up with a severe stomach ulcer. Another was fired from their job. Another's partnership unraveled. Me? I knew it was bad when my own child cried out of worry for my well-being and begged me to go to sleep, partly because this was simply modeling the exact thing I had been doing to them not 5 minutes earlier. And they're over there with the sad face. Kids, have you ever worried about whether your adults are taking care of themselves? Grown-ups need sleep too. And we lost an hour last night, so it's a day we're all a little tired. In every case, the more we thought we had to do, the more urgent the doing seemed, the less energy we had for care, and the more we found ourselves acting in ways that hurt other people. I'm probably not telling you anything that you don't know from your own experience. I take that from the laughter at the start. This just happened to be my most recent reminder that knowing that we need change isn't, in and of itself, enough to produce that change. We have to practice. So, what's the opposite of not just feeling burnout, but the burning feeling of rushing headlong towards it? I don't have a perfect answer, clearly, but I know that we get through it as an active practice of faith. So this morning, we want to engage in imagining, remembering, and practicing that feeling, including the embodied practice of Tai Chi, which Sherry's going to lead us in a few minutes, so everyone can start loosening up a little bit. What better place to practice the skills of liberation, trust, patience, and endurance than this space where we have already committed to moving with care? Welcome to First Universalist Church of Minneapolis. Whether this is your first time here or your 1,000th, your presence is an essential part of what makes this moment together both unique and vital. My name is Malia Hausnecht. I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of your worship associates. And today we're going to be talking about adaptation, which is pretty apt because this service is one that Dr. Glenn Thomas and I wrote and worked on together, and he is not feeling well this morning. So we're doing some adapting. Reverend Jen Crow is going to be reading passages that he wrote, and we're grateful to Amy that she is prepared to lead us musically a cappella this morning. Also joined by Sherry Merriam, who is going to be leading us in some Tai Chi. And as always, I want to extend a special thanks to Olu and John for keeping us connected through sound and video, as well as ushers, greeters, artists, and all those who helped create our sacred space and time this morning and beyond. Part of how we mark our entry into this sacred time together and root ourselves in the slow, deep, and faithful work we're here to do is by lighting our chalice, which unites us with Unitarian Universalists worldwide. So together, let's say, love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. My name is Sherry Merriam. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm another one of your worship associates. And I'm here to demonstrate and teach you how to do a little bit of Tai Chi or Qigong this morning. And this practice can be done standing or seated, so you're welcome to stay seated. But if you would like to do it standing with me, I invite you to rise and maybe spread out a little bit, step out into the aisles, We're going to be moving forward and backward a little bit, so you might want to have a little space to take a step forward. But feel free to stay where you are if that's more comfortable. Wiggle your body, loosen up a little bit, stretch out, do whatever feels good. We're waking up. It's fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to be embodying some of the principles that we're talking about this morning. And one of them is about balance, gravity, getting rooted to the earth. So the first thing I'm going to show you is called the Wu-Ji stance. And if you're a yoga practitioner, you've heard it called mountain pose, perhaps. It's the same principle. Because all martial arts involve first getting balanced and rooted to the earth. So it starts with everything, as everything does, with the feet. So we're going to start with our feet about hip width apart, right? Nice and even and balanced. And then the knees softly bent, okay? Because we want to have a little flexibility, a little fluidity, right? And hips are nice and relaxed, okay? Pelvis is gently tucked, so it's like you're rolled up, not the booty sticking out, okay? So rolled up, and that's more comfortable and safer for the muscles in the lower back, okay? So pelvis is tucked, chest is slightly lifted, shoulders are nice and relaxed. You want your arms to hang like heavy weights from your shoulders. A lot of us, as the stress starts to creep in during the day, the shoulders start to creep up into the ears, and we're trying to remember to let those shoulders hang nice and heavy and low, maybe even, as I was taught, to dip your shoulder blades into your back pockets, right? So hanging nice and heavy, okay? And then the chin is slightly tucked. You're not trying to crunch it all the way in. It's more like if someone were gently poking you right here. So it's like you're hanging from a string, nice and high, tall and proud. So just stand there in that pose for a moment, that Wu-Ji open stance, that mountain pose, and feel what it feels like. You can close your eyes if you want, or take a soft gaze. Just feel how that feels to stand there in that pose. Feel your weight, the earth holding you up, the balance, your muscles, your joints doing their job. Okay? Good. We could stand that way all day, maybe, or maybe not. All right? And then we're going to add something to this pose. We're going to add prayer hands. Okay? And sometimes where prayer hands are flat together, in this case, we're holding them gently apart, like you're holding a melon. Your hands are slightly curved. And here we're embodying the principle of connection. In traditional Chinese medicine, you've heard of acupressure or acupuncture. There are pressure points in the palms of your hands that it is said that when they face each other, they talk to each other, they communicate with one another, and they might send energy back and forth to each other. And you might feel that energy, a nice little bit of a crackle or a tingle. You might not, that's fine too. But you might enjoy the sensation of that energy passing back and forth, that connection or that communication between your prayer hands. All right? And what we're going to enjoy together is holding that pose. Now we're going to take our feet and we're going to maybe put one foot a little more forward of the other, because we're going to enjoy another idea, and that's balance in motion, right? And so that's gently flowing back and forth, a little bit of rocking. We're not lifting our toe or our heel. We're still keeping our feet entirely on the ground, but just gently rocking back and forth, feeling those knees flex. And as we do so, we might even move our hands like a wheel, just gently in front of us, turning that wheel. And as you turn the wheel, I want you to turn it with your breath, too. I want you to breathe out as you push out and breathe in as you pull in. And I don't want you to synchronize with me. I want you to synchronize with your own breath. I want you to breathe out as you push out and breathe in as you pull in. as you turn that wheel. And again, you can do this with your eyes open or with them closed, a gentle, soft gaze, whatever's most comfortable. Just enjoy the feeling of your balance moving back and forth and that flow. As you shift your weight and breathe. And if your feet start to get tired and you want to shift to the other foot, go for it. And enjoy that flow of breath and balance. You guys are looking great. You can come help me teach. Yeah. If you want to try, you could also just shift your weight back and forth. Turn the wheel. The nice thing about this practice is I've done this a lot of places, is it makes the bus come faster. If you're waiting at the bus stop, little tip for you. It's a great meditative practice, right? Another nice thing is if you're waiting at the bus stop, other people don't talk to you. If you do this practice, it's really handy for that, right? And as you do this, you can listen to the birds. You can watch the clouds go by. Just enjoy your breath and the balance and the flow. All right, we're going to bring our hands back to prayer position, back to where we started. Take one more deep breath in and out. And then we're going to release our hands. Very good. Thank you all very much for practicing with me. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sherry, for leading us. My name is Jen Crow. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the senior minister here. And I'm so grateful for the chance to practice all together, to have all the generations together in one space for this beginning of our service and for this shared practice. And now is the time when we move into our different spaces that are made just for us. So at this point, we'll have our lantern bearer come and share the light from our shared chalice and light the candle that'll lead the way into the classrooms for our children and youth today. So, kids, kindergarten through, all the way up, here's the deal. So you're gonna follow the lantern, and then the light, and you're gonna follow the flags. So the K through 1 flag.
There's kind of no flags.
There's no flags. Okay, you're gonna follow the people who represent the flags. We got 1 flag. Kindergarten through 1st grade, 2nd and 3rd grade, 4th and 5th grade, you have a flag. So really follow Harrison. And any youth that are here that are heading to their classes, now is your time, and we will sing you on your way with This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
Breaking news. The White House orders all federal agencies to dismantle diversity programs immediately. Offices closing today.
There is always news, always something breaking, but not everything broken is lost. We make space for breath, for quiet, for what does not
A
need
new
breaking
executive
news
order
to
allows
be real.
states to ban gender-affirming care, including for adults. Hospitals are canceling treatments, patients left with nowhere to turn.
We do not belong to their headlines. We belong to each other. We belong to the breath. We return to the body, to love, to the truth of our worth that no law can erase.
New data confirms record temperatures this year. Wildfires breaking containment in 3 states. Evacuation orders issued overnight.
The earth is speaking, not in panic, not in breaking news. In the wind that bends the trees, in the water that carves the stone, in the seasons that move slower than we wish they would, we listen.
ICE has ramped up deportation arrests under new federal orders. Families separated without notice.
Love does not vanish with the headlines. Our belonging does not break. We do not abandon one another. We stay, we hold, we breathe.
The EPA lifts pollution restrictions. Communities of color will be the first to feel the effects.
Not everything can be fixed today. Not everything can be solved by noise. We listen.
A federal court ruling today upholds sweeping new voting restrictions.
For the pace of the earth, for the heartbeat of what is slow and ancient and wise, we listen.
We listen.
With the rush of the news, with the breaking of our hearts, I invite us to slow down, to remember that our interconnection and our calm is as close as our breath. I invite us to feel our feet on this steady floor, on this good earth, to remember our connection, past to present to future, with all that has been and all that is and all that ever will be. We are a part of it all, inextricably interwoven into the long story of life and of time. I invite us to pause together, to allow our breath to deepen, to be in shared silence for a time, for quiet, as we remember and trust in the steady and patient and collective work that can turn heartbreak into healing and transformation. Let's be quiet together for a moment. We pause each week right in the middle of things to remind ourselves and each other that we are in this life together, interconnected as the cycle of life turns for us all, for our planet, for our country, our city, for all of life. And so we create here a time of sharing where you are invited to speak out loud or hold silently in your heart the struggles or joys that you are carrying, that we might carry them together. After each person speaks, I'll repeat back their prayer so we can all hear it, and then we will respond as a community with these words: "You are not alone. We are holding it together." The circle is open.
I'm grateful for new people who take the risk to come in the door.
For new people who take the risk to come in the door. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For Reverend Arif in this time when he is not with us. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
Gratitude for everybody who put together the sleepover for youth last night, especially Harut. Being surrounded by all that joy was very life-giving and affirming.
Gratitude for everyone who put together the kindergarten through fifth grade family overnight last night, especially Harut and everybody that worked on it for the joy and for taking that on over daylight savings time weekend. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For the people of Ukraine, both those who are in Ukraine and who are elsewhere. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
For people of Palestine and many of us here in the space who move past that crisis, who continue to suffer, and who still need our support.
For the people of Palestine, as attention shifts and many here move past the suffering that is still happening. You are not alone. We are holding it together.
For all the parents who have lost children before they should be
For all the parents who have lost children to deportation? No. Help. Just to death, which is all, yeah. For all the parents who've lost children. You are not alone. We are holding it together. For all those suffering with chronic illness, you are not alone. We are holding it together. For all the children who have lost parents to deportation, you are not alone. We are holding it together. We remember Phil Johnson today, church member, leader, man of quiet integrity, who died from complications of ALS during the 2020 COVID lockdown. We send our love to Mary Weeks, Phil's wife, and remember his life with gratitude and the beauty of the flowers donated in his honor. You are not alone. We are holding it together. We continue to hold Sigrid Nielsen in our hearts. Funeral services for Sigrid's mother, Valerie, will be held on Saturday, March 15th at 11 at St. Philip the Deacon Lutheran Church in Plymouth, and all are welcome to attend. You are not alone. We are holding it together. And our prayers are with Sandy Culpepper, who's experiencing difficulties with her right arm with no clear cause determined yet. This is especially scary and difficult as Sandy is a teacher with deaf students. You are not alone. We are holding it together. We're celebrating with Malia, who has recently accepted a ministerial internship position at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Minnetonka beginning this fall. We're celebrating with church member Mark Caswell, who has accepted a ministerial internship position at the church in San Francisco. And we are celebrating with Nico Van Ostrand and ourselves, as Nico has accepted a ministerial internship position here at First Universalist beginning this fall. For shared learning and deepening in faith, and for the present and future of Unitarian Universalism. You are not alone. We are holding it together. With all that has been said and all that has been held silently in our hearts, together we pray that the grip of addiction might be loosened, that the weight of oppression might be lightened, that grief might be shared, that joy might break through, and that love might make every suffering bearable for us all. May it be so. Amen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Bruise, hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
When we gather, we make a practice of sharing our financial resources. It's a tangible way to make real the words that we speak each week. You are not alone. We are holding it together. This week, that is particularly true as we direct our financial gifts to the Minister's Emergency Fund. This fund exists to support church members and friends and members of the community when financial hardship hits. It's used to help support folks with a mortgage payment, with rent, with car repairs, with medical co-pays, groceries, bus cards, all the things that come up that we need. I say this today in particular because our Minister's Emergency Fund is overextended right now, so that when people come to staff and share the terror of bills that cannot be paid, it has been heartbreaking to have to turn them away. It's time to refill the fund so that we can be the people we want to be when someone is courageous enough to come forward to share with us where they are and what they need. We need to hold each other in those moments. With our offering today, we're investing in each other, sharing what we can with open hands and open hearts, practicing being the beloved community that we can create together. If this is a time when you have financial resources to share, I hope you will. And if this is a time when you do not have financial resources to share, I hope that soon we will be able to share the gifts of this community. Our offering will now be received.
Oh, pirates, yes, they rob I. Sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop the time. How long will they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Well, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop the time. How long will they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Well, some say it's just a part of it, but we get to write the book. Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever have, redemption songs. Sing that with me. Redemption song. Redemption song. Last time. Redemption song.
Oh, yeah.
So this morning's sermon is a collaboration between Malia and Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, who unfortunately is sick this morning. So I'll be doing my best to hold his part and read his words, and it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Who here has ever experienced burnout? Even before the frenetic pace of the news of crushing cruelty that was unleashed these past 7 weeks, we were all raised in a world that rewards moving too fast. An economic and political system built on the myths of perpetual growth and expansion, that some people are better and more deserving of comfort and security than others, and that competition rather than cooperation is the only natural law, is not a system built to honor life for life's sake. That was true before the culture of move fast and break things had us enamored with its Pavlovian rewards of clicks, likes, followers, retweets, and viral memes. Right now, many of us feel incredible pressure to do more, do it faster, fight harder. There's no time to waste, to slow down, to let up. But what if we stopped moving at that world's timeline and started moving on the timeline of liberation?
I walked into my first conducting lesson, ready to move. My teacher, Philip Olson, stood before me. I readied myself, lifted my arms, prepared to lead. But before I could move, he said, "Feel your wingspan. Not use it, not move it, feel it." I stood there, arms stretched wide, feeling the weight of them, the space they occupied, the air between my fingers. Before I could give a single gesture, I had to know what I was holding. That was the first lesson. Not motion, awareness. Before a conductor moves, they must know what they are holding. Before leadership, before activism, before any attempt to change the world, there is stillness. Stand before you gesture. Observe before you command. Notice the air before you cut through it. We mistake movement for progress. We mistake exhaustion for care. But before anything meaningful begins, there is a breath. Stillness is not passivity. It is preparation. It is wisdom that refuses to be rushed. And in a world that worships urgency, wisdom looks like defiance.
But what if we stopped moving on this world's timeline and started moving on the timeline of liberation? What if we looked up from our screens, took a break from the headlines designed to destabilize us, and we practiced the skills of liberation: trust, patience, endurance. Patience and endurance matter because justice movements have never thrived on speed. They require deep and trusting relationships out of which the wisdom of collective strategy can emerge. This community can be a place of preparation where what we practice together strengthens the work ahead. Presence invites us to shift our rhythm and to enter a different pace of time. It invites us to listen to the wisdom of water. Water as a way of being informs the important Taoist concept of Wu Wei, often referred to as the doctrine of inaction or non-action. The wisdom of Wu Wei poses an enormous challenge in the midst of the barrage of attacks on our humanity, autonomy, and life itself coming at us faster each day. To embrace Wu Wei, inaction seems like a death wish. But Taoism, like all of the great wisdom traditions, also teaches us that some of the deepest truths are found in seeming paradox. Wu Wei doesn't mean inaction in the sense of not doing anything. It means being soft and yielding as water. True power and change come from flowing with, between, and around obstacles, rather than just pushing directly against them. The most powerful action aligns, embodies, and therefore works with the natural state of things. And in doing so, it carries with it the full force of nature itself.
Travel back in time with me, if you will, to May 29th, 1913. We're at the Théâtre des Champs-Élysées. The air is electric. The audience expectant. A single bassoon plays in its highest register, warbling a melody that no one has heard before. It sounds wrong, unsettling. The strings enter not sweeping and graceful, but stomping, a pounding, primal rhythm. The audience does not understand what they are hearing, and they riot, not metaphorically. Actual fists, actual shouts, actual objects hurled at the stage. The music is unfamiliar, the movement unpredictable. The rhythm has changed, and nothing is more unsettling than a rhythm we did not expect. The riot did not stop the music. Stravinsky's rhythm moved forward, and eventually so did history. The Rite of Spring, first met with violence, is now a masterpiece. The ear had to learn to listen. The body had to learn to move differently. The mind had to surrender to a rhythm that did not ask for permission. Change does not wait for comfort. And here's where you have to remember, I am channeling Glenn Thomas right now. As a Black man in UU ministry, I want us to let the giggle out and then settle in, because these words are serious and matter. As a Black man in UU ministry, I know something about that change does not wait for comfort. I've been made to carry every assumption I can think of. You're the Black music guy. You're entertainment. You're bringing a gospel agenda. You're forcing Christianity down our throats. Your doctorate isn't the right one. Your music isn't what we're used to. You have no business leading ministers. This isn't how we've done it before. We're not ready for this. It's too soon. It's too fast. It's too slow. Couldn't this be simpler? Couldn't it be harder? We've never done it this way before. We've never done it this way before. And yet the rhythm moves forward. The civil rights movement and the women's movement did not succeed because people woke up one morning and suddenly felt ready for it. They succeeded because people learned to trust a rhythm they could not yet hear. Because movement building is not a reaction, it is a discipline. Revolutions do not move at the speed of urgency. They move at the speed of relationship, resilience, and the unshakable will to practice change until it becomes reality. To practice change until it becomes reality. Some days, he says, the most radical thing I can do is sit down and clear my damn inbox. Because the work isn't just about disruption. It isn't just about proving a point, making noise, or getting people's attention. It is about practicing a new rhythm until the world stops fighting it. until the riot becomes the downbeat, until what once felt impossible becomes second nature. This is the work. It does not ask for permission, and it will not wait for us to feel ready.
According to the Tao Te Ching, true words seem paradoxical. The Taoist wisdom of Wu Wei is often misunderstood as passivity or inaction. In reality, Wu Wei means being soft and yielding as water. It is the strength of adaptation, the force that moves with rather than against. Writer and activist Adrienne Marie Brown frequently quotes her mentor, Grace Lee Boggs, as encapsulating the idea in this phrase: transform yourself to transform the world, which is a very Taoist notion. What Brown has termed emergent strategy, defined in part as ways for humans to practice being in right relationship to our home and to each other, to be in harmony and love in and with the world, is based on many of the same ideas as Wu Wei. Brown paints a collective picture of the potential to build the loving, just, and liberated world of which we dream if we were to embody our deepest values, aligned with the power of nature rather than striving against it. It's slow and steady work that we can all be a part of. Resistance through creation.
The great irony of human history is that the people most remembered for their vision were rarely in sync with their times. George Friedrich Handel was late. He poured his wealth into opera at exactly the moment when the world was falling out of love with it. His compositions were grand and intricate and extravagant, just as audiences were looking elsewhere. And so he failed, publicly, financially. But instead of retreating into nostalgia, wishing the world would rewind to meet him where he had already planted his gifts, he repurposed his work. He took what he had already written and wove it into something new. And that's how we got Messiah. The first reaction? Mixed. Tickets sold, but critics hesitated. Some found it brilliant, others dismissed it. The public wavered between intrigue and resistance, because the crowd will fool you into thinking success is immediate, that if the first reaction is not resounding applause, the work has failed. But Messiah endured, not because the world was ready for it, but because a few people refused to let it die. Because people sang it at home. Because some insisted on programming it even when it wasn't popular. Because it was singable, accessible. Because it belonged to the people, not just to critics. Movements are no different. We need to recognize when we are using old skills for dead reasons. When we are clinging to methods not because they serve the present moment, but because we have not yet grieved what they once were. To move forward, we must adapt. We must be willing to repurpose what we know for what is needed. The work of justice is not a monument, it is a living thing. It is not preserved in stone, it is woven into breath. The choice before us is not whether to hold on or let go. The choice is whether we will have the courage to let it live in new ways.
Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The teaching of Wu Wei suggests that being our values is more powerful than a frenzied doing that keeps us spinning our wheels, fragmented, exhausted, constantly putting out fires, but never addressing the source of the flames. Emergent strategy, Adrienne Marie Brown says, quote, is something I am still discovering. But a lot of it, for me, feels like tuning into the natural operating systems of this universe and being humbled, as opposed to trying to barrel through and against all the change, trying to best nature. This begs the question, What is the natural state of things? As Unitarian Universalists, we don't usually emphasize shared belief as much as shared values that guide action, but I think we do have some basic shared truths. We are all connected. We are interdependent. What impacts one impacts all. And we believe that part of being human is having agency, the ability to perceive and act in accordance with a deep and abiding love that fills the world. The teaching of Wu Wei also suggests that being our values is more powerful than a panicked, desperate attempt to fix everything all at once. Wu Wei is not passivity. It is a commitment to lasting transformation rather than momentary reaction. If we were to embody love, equity, generosity, transformation, what would action look like? Just as water moves constantly towards unknown terrain, following only its longing for the sea, we cannot predict exactly what liberation will look like. But we do know this: it will involve turning toward each other in curiosity and in love.
The first sign of learning is frustration. It's when your fingers can't find the chord, when the note doesn't land, when the body fights the rhythm, when the movement won't settle. It's when the mind is forced to stretch into something it does not yet understand, and so it resists, it tightens, it clenches its fists. Justice is a skill, not an inevitability. Movements, like muscles, resist their own evolution. The first motion of growth is breaking. We see this at every turning point in history, not just pushback, but rage, fear, an aching, clawing insistence that things remain as they are. The deep terror that comes when the body of a people is being stretched beyond its old understanding of itself. The civil rights movement was not the moment of change. It was the moment of backlash. The women's movement was not the arrival of liberation. It was the alarm of those who could feel change threatening their sense of stability. And that means this moment, this rage, this resistance, this chaos, this is not failure. This is proof that the lesson is sinking in. The moral arc does not bend by itself. It bends because enough hands refuse to let go. And bending takes pressure, it takes friction, it takes time. The feeling of frustration does not mean we are failing. It means we are learning. And so I ask you, will we stay in the work even when it hurts, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it resists us? Because if we do, if we hold to it, if we commit to it, if we refuse to abandon it, then the very thing that fights us today will move with us tomorrow. The old rhythm will yield to the new. The arc will bend because we never stopped pulling.
The action of inaction comes from the natural joy we find in connection and community. It's a Sunday at the farmer's market, bringing soup to a sick neighbor, crossing town for a cultural festival, attending a talk at the public library. It is dissolving rigid opposition to change through the drip, drip, drop of relationships, not just with people who are like us, but with those who can offer a different perspective. Adrienne Marie Brown reminds us, move at the speed of trust. Focus on critical connections more than critical mass. Build resilience by building relationships. To be soft and yielding is profoundly countercultural in a world that tells us survival requires competition, production, consumption. But being the love we speak of means engaging in constant adaptation and repair. The work of building and maintaining relationships that are as supple and unbreakable as water.
We have been told to move fast, to react, to fight, to push harder, to never stop, never rest, never yield, because if we do, we might lose everything. But the people who told us this were never trying to teach us liberation. They were only teaching us how to burn out. We have learned exhaustion as a form of devotion, urgency as a measure of our righteousness, panic as proof of our commitment. But no revolution lasts that is built on panic. Justice is not frenzied movement. Justice is relentless presence. And presence is slow. It does not rush. It does not flail. It does not beg for approval. Presence is the thing that remains when the moment has passed. It is the song that stays in the body even when the world has stopped singing. Presence is the movement that outlasts the fight. And so I ask you, what rhythm are you resisting? What movement are you afraid to trust? What if instead of clinging to the old downbeat, you let yourself be carried into the new one? Because ready or not, it has already begun. Extend our gratitude for Glenn Thomas's words and writing and your collaboration, and we are sending him wishes for speedy healing and recovery.
Please rise and body your spirit, and let's sing our closing hymn, Wo Ya Ya. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know it, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
As we do the slow and steady work of building relationships, of grounding ourselves, I remind us of the steady drip, drip, drop of coffee downstairs in the social hall after the service. I hope you will join us for conversation. Join us for climate conversations at 12:30 and for community dinner this week on Wednesday at 7. It is so important. 6, thank you. Wednesday, 6, daylight savings time. May we find ways to slow down, to steady ourselves, to knit the connections between us that will hold us through this next evolution and revolution. May it be so. Amen.
It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Go now in peace.
Rich, how are you? Couldn't get off in time because of daylight savings.
Oh yeah, she's